His name is Kyle Draper. You guys know him from NBC Sports Boston. He is everybody's favorite Celtics analyst. So let's get this kicked off. Kyle, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today on BosBabes.
What's up, Brittany? I am doing well. Excited to be here with you. Excited to talk sports, entertainment, whatever you want to chat about, I'm ready for it.
I love that. I love your attitude. I'm so hyped up. So we obviously watch you on TV all the time. We know you have a great personality. So I wanted to kick this off right off the bat with a fun, interesting story. I know you and I were just lately talking about a fun story where you were sort of running late. You had something going on with Ray Allen. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, as you know, Brittany, when you're in this business, there are certain stories you get super excited for, right? You're excited to cover. You're excited to be on the front lines. For me, that story was Ray Allen going to the Miami Heat. He was supposed to have his introductory press conference in Miami. I think it might have been a Thursday or Friday, and I was scheduled to fly down to Miami to be at this press conference to grill Ray Allen. Dude, why'd you sign with Miami? Why are you leaving Boston? So my boss sends me down there, and I think my flight was like 7 o'clock or something like that down to Miami. And usually I'm on time for everything. I hate being late. Well, this day, I actually cut it a little too close. I arrived at the airport, and they wouldn't even let me check in. I think this might have been before I could check in on the phone or something like that. They wouldn't let me check in because they said the flight is leaving in half hour. You don't have time. And so I'm thinking to myself, dude, I'm about to get fired on a day I'm supposed to go interview Ray Allen. So I wound up missing my flight. The press conference was scheduled for 10 o'clock. I was supposed to land at 8, and I'm like sweating. I'm nervous. I call my boss, say, hey, I missed my flight. The next flight out wasn't until like 10 o'clock. Fortunately, Brittany, the Miami Heat pushed the press conference back to like 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock or something like that. And I actually got down to Miami with about 5 minutes to spare before this press conference begins. And what's so crazy is I rush in there. I'm all hot. I'm all sweaty. It's South Beach. It's Miami. But afterwards, I get my one-on-one interview with Ray Allen. And it's crazy because people don't see the behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm worried about my job all day long. I'm nervous I might not get this interview with Ray Allen. But later that night on TV, it's like, man, there's Kyle chatting it up with Ray. So I felt good that I got it done. But inside, I was a whole ball of nerves. I thought my career was over. I thought this was going to be it. So we've had a number of stories like that. There's stories about KG I could tell you, stories about coworkers. Maybe I'll have to save it for the book, though.
Oh my gosh, that's such an interesting story, especially at the start of your career. I would definitely be sweating bullets too. One, I'd be nervous because I'm going to be thinking that I'm missing my interview. I'm in Miami. I don't know what's going on. So I completely agree that I would be sweating bullets thinking that I'm going to be missing this interview. But it sounds like everything ended up working out in your favor. And here you are working for NBC Sports. So obviously you did something right down in Miami.
Exactly. And I'll be honest, Brittany, that's sort of been like the story of my career, right? It just works out. Obviously I put in the work. I work hard. I'm dedicated to my craft. But, I've been blessed. I've been fortunate that things have just sort of worked out. And here I am, 11th year now in Boston covering the Celtics. I mean, as a kid from Philly, I never thought I'd be in this position. I'm so excited. And just, like I said, blessed to be here right now.
Talk about growing up in Philly. You guys are now listening to Kyle Draper, guys. You all know him as NBC Sports. He's one of our favorite Celtics reporters. You guys see him on the sidelines. You see him anchoring behind the sports desk. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, please subscribe to us on Spotify and iTunes. And Kyle, talk to me about Philly. So you're not from Boston, but you're obviously covering the Celtics, and we're going to get into that later. But what was it like growing up in Philadelphia? Paint the picture of how it was with your family as a child.
It was awesome, to be honest with you. So let me describe my neighborhood to you in Philadelphia. There are row homes in Philly, so all the houses are connected, stuck together. And on my block, I was in the third house. But the first 5 or 6 houses all had young boys, young kids just like me. So I didn't have to go far to make friends. I never got bored in the neighborhood. I just walked right out my front door, and my neighbor Tycho would be there. My next door neighbor Ron, Jay Shaw, the whole neighborhood. And I do remember one story. I got to tell it because this was back when a neighborhood would raise a kid. You know, it wasn't just on your mother and father to raise you. It was on the entire neighborhood. And I remember I was probably like 13 years old. And I'm a couple blocks away from my house, messing around with my friends. And this older lady walks by and she has a cane. And being dumb and young like I was at the time, I started acting like I had a cane right behind her. You know, just, you know, messing around, being stupid, right? And so one of the older guys happened to see me, and he went back and told my dad, believe it or not. And now, mind you, I'm a couple blocks away from home. You know, I think I'm safe. I'm like, ain't nobody going to do anything to me. I'm good. So by the time I got home, my dad was ready for me, you know? I'm not going to say what he did or anything like that, but he was not happy with me, to say the least. And so that's how it was growing up in Philly, man. It was a neighborhood that raised you. It wasn't just on your mom and pop, you know. The next door neighbor could yell at you if you were doing wrong. That's how it was in Philly. It was a great time, though, man. I miss Philly a lot.
I love that you grew up in Philly. It sounds like you guys were a very tight-knit community. You had a lot of friends. So let me ask you this question. What was it like during the holiday season with your mom and dad or whoever you happen to be growing up with? Did you have like a favorite food that you like to make during Christmas time? What was one of your favorite Christmas gifts that you got as a child if you celebrated that holiday? What was it like during Thanksgiving? Paint that picture of Kyle Draper as a child growing up in Philly so people know who you really are off the court.
I'll tell you straight up. So my favorite gift as a kid was a brand new bike. I walked into the dining room, walked right past the bike. I'm looking for the present, and it's right there behind me, and I totally missed it. But holidays with my family in Philly, let me just say, Brittany, so my mom has 4 brothers and sisters. My dad has a total of 15 brothers and sisters. So we would all get together. Can you imagine a house with that many aunts and uncles? So in the morning, we go out and visit my dad's family in West Philadelphia. There'd be aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. I mean, it would be crazy. And then we go visit my mom's family. And especially on Christmas Day, it was a tradition always to watch the NBA. So we'd be at my grandmother's house, hanging out, watching basketball, eating food, stuff in the face. You know, my wife jokes, like when she goes back and visits my family, there will be 4 people sitting in the room, but there will be like multiple conversations going on across each other. So it's not like one person talks and the next person talks. No, everybody's interrupting each other. There's 2 or 3 conversations going on at once. It was a party every time we got together, no doubt.
Sounds like a really fun time. I will say, like, I missed out a little bit because I only grew up with 1 brother, 1 sister. Yes, of course, I had aunts, uncles, and some cousins, but I never had that opportunity to grow up with 15 cousins and a bunch of family around me. So that sounds like
some of them I couldn't even tell you who they are. I mean, think about it. You have 15 aunts and uncles. They have kids, and then their kids have kids. I mean, there's a lot of Drapers out there in Philly right now.
The fact that you have such a big family, and I know you just talked about growing up watching the NBA with your mom and dad, with your family, with your cousins, with your aunts and uncles. Who are some of your favorite sports teams that you looked up to as a kid? Was it just all Philadelphia teams, or did you kind of have a love for the Celtics back in the day? Who were you rooting for as a kid?
You're going to get me in trouble now. You know that, right?
I'm trying to get you in trouble.
I'm about to get in trouble with Boston Celtics fans right now. So growing up, even though I lived in Philly, my favorite team was the Los Angeles Lakers. I was a huge Magic Johnson fan. I tell everybody I like patterned my life after Magic, obviously not the HIV or anything like that, but everything else, I patterned my life about Magic Johnson. And so growing up, I hated the Celtics. I hated Larry Bird. I hated McHale. I hated Parrish. I hated Boston. I hated Boston baked beans. I hated New England clam chowder. I hated it all, right? You know, now here I am covering the Celtics and you know, representing the green is crazy. So it's funny because I was a Lakers fan growing up. I liked the Dallas Cowboys because I was a big Tony Dorsett, you know, in the 80s era. I did like the Phillies, but I believe it or not, I did like the Red Sox too. I was a big Roger Clemens fan. Mike Greenwell, all those guys, Ellis Burks, all those guys back in the day. I was a fan of those guys. But basketball-wise, man, I hated the Celtics growing up.
I think that's so interesting that you grew up on the East Coast and one of your favorite teams, if not your favorite team, was out in the West Coast. But I can understand having that love for Magic Johnson and just, I mean, that guy's an idol. That guy's literally a legend. So I totally understand that. And even if you are a Boston Celtics fan, you do have a love for other teams like you and me. I like to follow the Warriors. I don't follow, even when it comes to other sports, not just football or baseball. You have to follow, if you're an actual sports fan, you don't follow just one team. You follow multiple teams. Like this year, we're going to get a little bit off topic with the basketball, but come on now. With the whole Tom Brady situation, you know for damn sure I'm going to be partially a Bucks fan.
I was wondering.
I'm not going to be watching the Bucks and rooting for the Bucks low key, even though I love the Patriots. What do you think about that whole situation with Tom heading down there?
It's like New England South down there, right? They got our boy Gronk down there too. And so what's interesting though is, you know, this is how I operate, Brittany. And I might be pulling back the curtain and giving up too much information. So before I moved to Boston, I liked Tom Brady. I was a big Tom Brady fan. I liked the way he carried himself. The dude was a model of class, right? But then I get here and I see how the fans worship Tom Brady, and I'm like, forget Tom Brady. He's in Tampa. He's all right with me. I'm cool with him. I don't understand it, right? It's crazy talk. But, it's amazing because I want to see how many fans turn into Tampa Bay fans. Think about it. They're in the NFC. It's not like they're going against the Patriots or they're going to be in the Patriots' way for a championship. So do fans want to see Tom Brady succeed? In my opinion, he's already won enough. He got 6 rings. You know, if he doesn't get any more, so what? But I think that's a big storyline this year, just to see how Brady does, especially with his boy Gronk down there.
I agree with you. That definitely is going to be a big storyline. Who's going to do better, Tom Brady versus, I almost feel like it's more like Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick, especially with them recently signing Cam Newton. I'm over here like, I can't believe Bill Belichick is even taking that risk. Yes, Cam Newton is amazing, but with his wacky style and his personality, I feel like he's not going to vibe with the Patriot way. What do you think is going to happen with Cam Newton playing for the New England Patriots?
I'm giving you that look because didn't Gronk have like a wacky style? Gronk was always being Gronk. And so I think at the end of the day, what Bill Belichick cares about is winning football games, right? If Cam Newton can come in here, help this team win, I don't think Belichick cares about, you know, how he celebrates or, you know, him ripping the shirt open and doing Superman, that kind of thing, the way he dresses. Belichick's always been to me a guy that if you help me win, I'm all for you. Now, if you don't help the Patriots win, if you actually hurt them and you can't deliver on the field, they'll cut you. They'll trade you. We've seen them do it before. And I think it's kind of low risk. He's making what, $500,000 in base salary, a bunch of incentives. So I'm all for it. You know, I might get that Patriots #1 jersey just because I'm all for Cam Newton up here.
That's actually a really good response. I never even thought about it like that because now when we're talking about the Bucks and Gronkowski and losing Brady, it's almost like Cam Newton is like a hybrid of both Brady and Gronk because you have obviously Cam Newton's the quarterback, but he kind of has like that weird, swaggy, interesting vibe like Gronkowski. So I completely agree with the fact that if he wins games for us, I think whatever he's doing off the field, as long as it's not anything dangerous, will be pushed off to the side and let's hope that he wins some games for us. But let's switch back over to you. So we talked all about basketball. Growing up in Philly, you played basketball in high school, but you didn't end up playing in college. What was that experience like playing in high school? Did you enjoy playing the sport?
Yeah, I was like a basketball junkie, Brittany. I mean, like every day I would play basketball. I had some lower Division II junior college offers, but I started my college life at Temple University in Philadelphia. And at the time, they were really good. John Chaney was the head coach. We had Eddie Jones, Aaron McKee. You know, we had NBA talent on that team. And I actually tried out for the Temple Owls, did not make the team, but I would still play every single day. Like basketball was my life, so much so that my grades early on suffered, believe it or not. You know, I almost flunked out of college my first year there at Temple University. Eventually, I got my act together and succeeded. But, man, it was rocky early on there in Philly.
Well, it definitely sounds like you've always been very passionate about the sport and having not ended up playing college basketball, did that sort of lead you to your journey of being in front of the camera talking about the sport? Because I slowly want to start leading into your journey of sports reporting. I know you started off in smaller markets, as most of us do. You not playing basketball, did that spark your interest in wanting to become a sports reporter and talking about the sport of basketball?
You know what? I never thought about being a sports reporter. I didn't think about being a sports reporter anchor until my junior year in college. I had transferred to a small school in Minnesota called Winona State. I was actually a civil engineering major, Brittany. And so I thought I was a brainiac, a smart guy. I was going to be an engineer. I got to my junior year and I could not pass this one math class. It was called differential equations. I failed it once, Brittany. I dropped it twice. And so at that point, here I am, 21 years old or whatever it is. And I'm thinking to myself, this engineering thing isn't quite working out for you. I mean, I was a C student anyway. It wasn't like I was Dean's List or anything like that. And so I made a decision one day. My roommate at the time, he was actually a broadcasting major. And here I am, a junior, second semester junior, I believe, too. And I said to myself, I like sports. I like watching it on TV. Why don't I give this a shot? Engineering's not working out for you. So let's try something else. And Brittany, the crazy thing is, as soon as I made that switch to sports broadcasting, I started getting all A's. I started making the Dean's List. You know, things just sort of fell into place. So when I say I'm blessed and fortunate, you know, that's what I'm talking about. Like, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an engineer. And then, like I said, all of a sudden I said to myself, this isn't working. I got to try something else. And so then while I was in college, I got a part-time job at a TV station. Once I graduated, they hired me full-time in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And then it just took off from there. You know, every place I've been, you know, I've been promoted. And so, like I say, I've just been in at the right place at the right time and been fortunate and blessed. I'll tell you that.
I'm with you. I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but I literally struggled so bad with math, both in high school and in college. I literally had to pay my sister's, at the time, boyfriend, now they're married, it's her husband. I used to have to pay him to do my math homework because I was so bad. And in college, I literally, when they would ask me to raise my hand to answer something, I would be sitting there under the desk, like doing my biology homework or something else. Because I literally would be like, yo, I don't know the answer. Stop asking me. I'm only in here because I need to pass. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of math, so I totally understand where you're coming from. But it almost sounds like your journey of not playing basketball in college, but loving the sport your whole life and kind of falling into reporting. Obviously, this is your passion. This is your love. So you were a sports director out in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like? How did you land that job? Did you enjoy living out there?
I love Louisville. I mean, it was a great time. So let me tell you how I got the job. I was actually working in Yakima, Washington, way out on the West Coast. I was doing sports and doing news. I got the job in Louisville. It was a 3-person department. I got there, and 8 months after I was there, the second guy, the number 2 person, left. So I got promoted to his position. Then 4 months after that, the main guy left. And then I got promoted to his position. And so Louisville, I like to tell people Louisville is just like a smaller Boston when it comes to sports. They are super passionate about sports, but they're not passionate about pro teams. They're passionate about their local teams, University of Louisville, University of Kentucky, Indiana University. And I always tell people, this is how bad it is in Louisville sports-wise. I would be at the grocery store and people would literally get into fights over which team I should be covering more. Should I be giving more love to the University of Kentucky or should I be giving love to the University of Louisville? I had this one woman tell this guy, you know what? We're in Louisville, so University of Louisville should be best. You know, they should be the front team that Kyle covers. The guy said, well, we're in the state of Kentucky and we got fans all over. I mean, that's how passionate it is. And so it was a huge college market. Kentucky Derby also, I've been to 7 of them. You know, NASCAR, I've covered races there too at the Kentucky Speedway. So Louisville was a great market. I mean, it was perfect. And Brittany, get this. So back then, during my younger days, I used to enjoy the nightlife a little bit. Well, in Louisville, the bars stayed open till 4 a.m. You could party till 4. So when I got off work at 11:30,
Holy moly!
I know. I'm hitting the spot. I'm ready. Let's go. And so me and my boys, we wouldn't even go out till like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so Louisville was perfect in that stage of my life. You know, I was there when I was like 26, I think, 27 to about 31, 32 or whatever it was. So it was perfect during that time of my life.
Rocking the mic at work, but then popping the bottles afterwards. That's my kind of guy right there. I love that.
Yeah, I mean that's the old Draper, right? That's the old Drape. You know, I'm settled down. I'm a married guy, 2 kids. You know, drink my tea, sip my tea at night, and everything. But man, Louisville, I tell you what. You know, we talk about Nashville being an underrated city. Well, before Nashville, it was Louisville. Louisville was like, you know, it was just, when we moved here, my wife and I, we still considered Louisville home back then. Now Boston is home, obviously, but man, we had great times there.
It sounds like you had such a fun time. I almost feel like I missed out a little bit, but with me having my reality TV background, I totally understand living it up in your 20s and just living life and being able to balance work and play. So all the power to you. I wanted to ask you too, clearly you've had your foot with doing reporting, sideline reporting, being behind the anchor desk and being a director. If you have any types of advice for up and coming young journalists or people that are thinking about having this as a career, what types of advice could you give to those that are considering this a potential career? And guys, you are now listening to Kyle Draper. He's from Philly. He's one of our favorite sports analysts for NBC Sports. He obviously covers the Boston Celtics. Kyle, what's your answer?
Well, I guess my advice would be get in as soon as you can. Start early. It's never too early, right? You know, my path started because of an internship. And so, so many people now want to intern at, some of the biggest stations. I say intern at a station that'll give you the most access, that'll let you handle the equipment, that'll let you put together a resume, that'll let you, grow your craft. Another thing I'll say is, just be yourself. Like, Brittany, I'll tell you a quick story. I remember I was covering the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. This is when I worked in Yakima, Washington. Washington State was playing Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl years ago. And so this was a huge assignment for me, right? I was super excited. So after the game, I was scheduled to do a live shot. And so I had prepared, myself. I wrote down my notes. I had my script all memorized. I was ready to go. So they come to me and I do my live shot and I'm just talking about this game. Oklahoma beats Washington State 27-17, and up next for the Cougars. And then I froze on air, Brittany. I forgot my script. I had memorized every word, every line, but when the lights were brightest, I totally forgot my script. And so I'm sitting there, up next for the Cougars, up next. You guys know what's next. And I tossed it back to the studio. And from that point on, Brittany, I said to myself, when I'm doing the live shot, I'm not going to write out a script. I'm going to just talk. And so I used to always think as a sports broadcaster, I had to be Mr. Button Up, sewn up, not show any personality. But no, viewers like you because of you. They don't like you because of the Celtics. They don't like you because of the Bruins. They like you because you're Kyle Draper or you're Brittany, And so just be yourself, sink or swim with being yourself. And I think people are attracted to personalities, not necessarily the content.
Oh my God, I absolutely love that answer. And you want to know why I love that answer? We'll talk about it, I guess, off air. But me starting this type of a sports show and creating my own brand alongside Emily Reed, my co-host, my whole vibe was I have a reality TV background and a sports background. So I wanted to be able to blend the both of them and not be that suit and tie sports personality and always just talking stats. I wanted to be able to showcase my personality, talk about families, talk about what the wives and girlfriends are doing after their husbands' games. Like, that is my whole type of vibe. Yes, you need to memorize some stats and some scripts once in a while, but for the most part, if you know what you're talking about and it comes off authentic, people want to listen to you and only you. And I'm agreeing with that statement. So that is some great advice, guys. You just heard Kyle Draper basically just tell everybody to be yourself. And if you freeze up, who cares? Go with the flow and just be authentic. Rock with it. You started off in the small markets. You grew up in Philadelphia. What the heck brings you out to Boston? Obviously, this is a huge sports city. when you think of Boston, Massachusetts, aside from the Boston baked beans and the clam chowder and the oceans and all the greatness that Boston has to offer, why the Boston Celtics? Why is your journey taking you here for the last 11 years? And you've been in the industry for a while, as we've discussed.
In it, yes. I've been here in the industry a minute. It's crazy because I never thought I would live in Boston, right? Boston was never on my radar, even as a sports anchor, sports reporter. I was working in Louisville. I thought maybe I'll go back to Philly or, LA was a dream, obviously. San Francisco, Bay Area. Boston was never on the radar. I was up for a job in Atlanta at the time, and I was up for a job in San Francisco at the time. And I didn't get to San Francisco, but NBC Sports, Comcast Sportsnet back then, they were starting up this program out in Boston. And so I flew out here. I loved it. Interview went great. And at the time, this was in 2009 at the time. So the Celtics had just come off a championship a year before. The Bruins were doing good. Patriots were the Patriots, Red Sox. And so at the time, Boston was the hub of sports, And I thought to myself, when you watch ESPN, Boston sports are always in the A block, right? They're always leading off the show, always high. And so why not? And I do remember my mom said, Kyle, you're not moving to Boston. She's from that era, growing up in the 50s and 60s and everything. She said, you're not moving to Boston. But I told her, Mom, I got to do what I got to do. And here I am 11 years in. And, I've had some other opportunities to leave Boston, but this is home right now. I'm having too much fun. You know what I mean? I'm enjoying this ride that I've been on. And so it's crazy. And I will tell you, Brittany, when they hired me, I was just hired as like a general assignment person, just cover all sports. But my first year, the Celtics made it to the 2010 NBA Finals, and I got to cover that against the Lakers. From that moment on, they saw that basketball was my passion. So I want to give a shout out to the management at NBC Sports Boston. They sort of put me in a position to succeed where, my biggest strength is, and they've allowed me to do that. And so no regrets at all about coming here. It's been great.
Love that answer, and welcome to Boston. Thank you for being here. And I like listening to your whole journey of you sort of not really wanting to end up here, but then you're here, you're loving it. You're obviously enjoying working for the Boston Celtics, and I find it super intriguing that it sounds like your bosses kind of were picking up on your strengths and your weaknesses, and they're like, you know what? Kyle's awesome. We love what he's doing. He obviously has a passion for basketball. So why the hell are we forcing him to talk about other sports when obviously he wants to just talk basketball? And here you are, chatting about what you want, living your dream, living out your passion. So my next question would be, who are some of the favorite people that you have interviewed in the past, and who would you like to interview in the future?
I've sort of interviewed all my sports idols. I've had the chance to interview Magic Johnson. I've interviewed Kobe Bryant one-on-one. Allen Iverson. I'm going back, obviously. I never got to do a Jordan. He was sort of on the downturn when I first started my career. I never got to interview him. I guess my favorite interview all time was Kevin Garnett, a one-on-one with Kevin Garnett. I'll tell you this quick story here. I forget which All-Star game it was. It was in Houston. It might have been KG's final one, 2013 maybe or 12. And I told my boss, I said, if you send me to Houston to cover the All-Star game, I will get a one-on-one interview with Kevin Garnett. And if you know KG, he doesn't give many one-on-one interviews. But I told my boss, trust me, I can get it. So he said, all right, Kyle, I'm going to send you. You got to deliver. So I have been real good friends with one of KG's family members. And I went to my guy. I said, yo, you got to hook this up. And then I talked to his agent. And so I was hitting it from both angles. I was hitting the family angle and the agent angle. So I go down there and they tell me, Kyle, Kevin will do the interview. So Kevin does this big media scrum, hundreds of people listening to him talk. And then afterwards, his rep says, all right, Kyle, let's go. So me, Kevin Garnett, his agent, and our photographer, we go into this small room. And this is me and KG chopping it up for 15, 20 minutes one-on-one. It's one of my most proudest moments. KG gave us all kinds of great sound, talking about his career, thoughts of retiring, all like that. And you got to understand, Brittany, me and KG at the time, we weren't the best of friends. We weren't cool. I remember a time I walked on the team plane and Kevin Garnett, him in his booming voice, he yells, "Guard, they let anybody on the team plane nowadays." And I'm shaking in my boots. I'm scared. I'm like, I hope KG's not talking to me. Same thing at practice. He's like, "Man, y'all always want to take pictures of us. Go do something else." So KG had that personality, but he came through for me when I needed him the most with that one-on-one interview.
So it sounds like KG isn't really that big of a fan of the media, but I like that he was able to sit down, mend things with you, mend things with the media, and give you that one-on-one that you, sounds like to this day, is still one of your, if not your favorite all-time interviews. Who would you want to interview in the future if you had somebody in mind? I know you just lightly talked about Michael Jordan. Would you want to speak to Michael Jordan? Obviously, his career ended. Would it be somebody else?
You know who I want? I want Larry Bird. Can we make that happen? I need one-on-one with Larry Bird. You know, Larry doesn't come back to Boston much, but I need to sit down face-to-face with the guy I hated growing up, but now obviously I appreciate him, and really talk about the Celtics, his career, Magic. You know, I want to pick his brain, you know? That would be the one interview I think I would love to have right now.
Why did you hate Larry Bird so much back in the day? That's a good question.
But think about it. This is 1980s, and even though the Sixers were good, there were really only two teams in the NBA, Brittany. You had the Celtics, and you had the Lakers. I was team Magic Johnson. Like I said, I patterned my life after Magic Johnson. And so there was no way I could like Larry Bird because those two were diametrically opposed. Like they were enemies. They were rivals. And so growing up in Philly, there were a lot of Laker fans back then. Showtime, you know? Like I said, I patterned my life. Showtime, flashy, glitz, glamour. That was me, Larry Bird. Hardworking, blue collar, you know, gritty, grimy. That wasn't me. And so I just hated Bird, man, at the time. You know, hated Danny Ainge. Can I say that right now? I hated Danny Ainge at the time. And so you know, those old Celtics teams, if I could interview those guys, that would be awesome.
I love that. I love how you are showcasing your personality right now. And that is literally the whole reason behind my show, BosBabes, is being able to bring out people's personalities, showcase who they are off the court. So I love that you are literally just like giving it your all and telling me all of these amazing stories. So I know you just mentioned Danny Ainge. I literally just found out 2 days ago, and I posted about it on the BosBabes Instagram and Facebook. I had no freaking clue that he played for the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, zero.
Yes.
Did you know that he played for the Toronto Blue Jays? Like, how freaking random is that? And now he's like the head man for the Celtics.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Blue Jays. Think about it. To be good enough to be a professional in two sports, let alone one, two different sports. I mean, we talk about Jordan trying to play baseball. Well, Danny Ainge actually did it, right? And so he was drafted by the Blue Jays, but ultimately decided to come here to Boston and play basketball. And think about it. Without Danny Ainge, are we talking about the Celtics like we are right now? I mean, with Tatum and all these great moves and these great trades. And so that was Danny's best decision of his life, not to play baseball.
Good answer. Good answer. Yes, I love watching Danny's career unfold, and it's really cool to see him be able to play both sports and also be involved strictly now with basketball. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, he played for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think it stuck out in my mind because my boyfriend he plays for the Toronto Blue Jays organization currently. So I remember texting him. I was like, "Big, did you have any clue that Danny Ainge used to play for the Toronto Blue Jays?" And he was like, "No." So interesting fact, guys, if you didn't know that, Danny Ainge played for the Toronto Blue Jays for a little bit, but now he obviously is involved with the Boston Celtics. And as Kyle just mentioned, such a great decision on his part. You guys are now listening to Kyle Draper, NBC Sports, amazing Celtics analyst. Please subscribe to the BosBabes on Spotify and iTunes. Next up, obviously we're going to talk a little bit about the Celtics right now. COVID has been ruining people's lives. Stuck inside. There's literally no sports. I'm so sick, Kyle, of watching rerun games on TV. So what the heck do you think about basketball coming back in a couple weeks? And what are some of your playoff predictions? And do you think that there's actually going to be a season or not? Because I keep seeing conflicting things where players are testing positive. they're shutting down practices. The facilities are not opening up. So I feel like everything is just so wonky. What the heck is going on? Are we playing or not? Are there going to be playoffs or they're not going to be playoffs?
We are playing, Brittany. Basketball will happen. Basketball will return. The Celtics are in Orlando right now. And I actually think the NBA is doing a good job of it. You know, you look at Major League Baseball, some of these other spots, you know, there's no bubble, right? The NBA is trying to have a bubble. Everybody inside that bubble, they're hoping tests negative. And once you get in that bubble, you can control it a little bit more. So I think we will have an NBA season. I actually think we'll crown a champion this year, too. With that being said, I also think some guys will test positive. Some teams will be shorthanded. You know, one or two guys may have to drop out, that kind of thing. And so what's crazy is no matter who you talk to, even if they have an opinion, Brittany, they don't know. I really don't know, right? I mean, this virus is so wicked. I have no clue what's going to happen. I guess I'm hoping that there will be a season. I'm hoping it'll finish. I'm hoping the Celtics will win banner number 18, but I'm not sure. But I will say, when they do return, when basketball does come back, the Celtics have as good a chance as anybody in the East, even Milwaukee, I'm saying, to get to the NBA Finals. And so Kemba's healthy, Tatum's healthy, Jalen, everybody's healthy. No fans down there in Orlando. I think it's going to be actually better basketball than people think. I think you'll see the best out of these players, and not just the best out of the Tatums, the Giannis's, the LeBrons. I'm talking the best from like guy number 6 on the bench, number 7. I think you'll see a high level of basketball. You know, it's going to be like a glorified pickup game, but a very competitive pickup game.
That is a really interesting response. It's kind of hard to have predictions because, like you said, we don't know what is going to happen with people with COVID, if people are going to end up sick. So it's definitely going to be one of those weird situations where you can't even really place bets or make predictions. It's just going to be fly by the seat of our pants type of situation. I mean, that's how it's going to be probably for sports up until October or November. I want to give a shout out really quickly to Fred Cullen. He's actually watching right now. He owns a really cool company called Green Team Junk Removal. If you guys don't know who they are actually super involved in the Boston area, in the community. They will show up to your house, to your company, pick up any that you don't want in your house anymore, and they like to safely and eco-friendly get rid of those items for you. So here's their phone number right below. You can call them if you guys need to. It's 508-361-0519. Again, guys, that's Green Team Junk Removal. Shout out to them. They will show up to your house. They will pull out those items, and they also love to donate to charity. And you guys know that BosBabes are all about donating to charity. And speaking of great things, Kyle, I know we just spoke about COVID, possible basketball predictions, you growing up in Philadelphia, you loving basketball. You are like a man of many talents. Not only are you great on the air, but you have your own freaking agency. So let's talk about that. What is the Draper Agency, and what do you do with that organization to help guide young journalists? And why did you start that organization/agency?
Well, I started it 5 years ago. And as you know, Britt, in this business, you often get people reaching out to you. Hey, can you help me with this? Can you take a look at this video? Can you give me some feedback? Can you make a call and help me get this job? And so about 5 years ago, really 6 years ago, I started thinking, what will my career look like 20 years from now? Will I still be doing Celtics pre and post game? Maybe, but I don't know, right? I don't know what the future holds. And so I really enjoy helping out young journalists, giving feedback, helping people achieve their dreams, achieve their goals. So I started the Draper Agency as sort of a second stream of income, obviously, a fallback, a plan B, but also because I was doing it anyway. You know what I mean? I was already helping people get jobs. I was already providing feedback. So I thought to myself, why not create a second stream of income? And so right now I have 9 clients, hopefully about to add another. And, you know, it's been great so far. You know, there's been some ups and downs, a roller coaster, bumpy ride, but, you know, it's been awesome. You know, so many times people start businesses and, you know, I read all the books and the stories about things, you know, only lasting a year or 2 years. And here I am in year 5, keeping going on. It keeps me busy, no doubt, but it's work I enjoy. It's work I feel like I'm qualified for. Having worked all around the country, I have those contacts out there. So, the best feeling is, a matter of fact, I just helped a client get down to Orlando. She just got a job in Orlando. So when my clients are happy, that makes me happy. When people are super excited about their job, and I know that I played a small part in that, that's all I can ask for. It makes me feel great. And so that's why I started the Draper Agency 5 years ago.
This is almost like your 360, how you're giving back to the community, how you can help others, and how you can be such a positive influence. How can people reach out to you if they want or have questions about becoming a young journalist or having this be a career, wanting to do this in college? Is there like a website people can check out? I know obviously I looked at it. Is there like an email that people can reach out to you by? Basically, how do people reach out to Kyle Draper if they have questions or want to be involved with the Draper Agency?
Well, you got to hit us up, obviously, thedraperagency.com. We're also on Twitter, on Instagram as well. You can always email me, Kyle, at thedraperagency.com as well. And of course, I got my own, my Celtics account that I run with NBC Sports Boston, Kyle Draper TV on Instagram and Twitter as well. I'm accessible, Brett. You know how to get a hold of Drape. I'm going to be around, right? It's easy to get a hold of me. So just hit me up.
Love the good vibes. And again, guys, BosBabes are all about good vibes, charity, giving back, showcasing how people perform on and off the court. So let's talk a little bit about your charity. I know you love helping out kids, and you are involved with wanting to eradicate racism. So how are you involved with giving back to the community with those types of topics, aside from Draper Agency?
Well, obviously, I try to be an example out there in the community, try to be a role model. But, when you talk about racism, that's something that's so timely right now, so near and dear to my heart. And, I've experienced it firsthand. And, I was on a panel a few weeks ago in the town I live in, and we had a frank discussion about diversity and racism. And I tell people all the time, African Americans, Black people, whoever it is, minorities, we want the same things as everybody else, right? We want to live in a safe environment. We want to raise our kids. We want to make money by working hard. We want to be treated equal. It's not that much people are asking for out there, believe it or not. And so, in ways I'm trying to help that is create and stimulate dialogue. I'm always open, willing to discuss, racism, social justice issues. And then when it comes to kids, I have a soft spot for kids. I just feel like I naturally gravitate towards them. And so when a school asks me to come speak, or a church or a group wants me to come speak, those are things, no hesitation. I'm always going to do it. And, it's something I get as much out of as they do. And so, I'm available. If anybody wants me to come by, speak to their group or anything like that, I'm more than willing to donate my time and whatever cause is out there, I just want us all, to be treated equal, treated fairly. It's interesting. I mentioned I grew up in Philly, mostly Black neighborhood, 99% Black. But then I went to school at Winona State University, 99% Caucasian. And so, it doesn't matter to me, the color or anything. I recognize everybody as individuals, and that's the message I'm trying to get out there. We all want the same things, right? We want to be healthy. We want to work hard. We want to pay our bills. We want to be safe. We want to raise our children. I mean, we all want the same things, Brett, and that's what I try to put out there.
I love the positivity. I love how much you give back to the community and how available it seems you are to kids, people my age, wanting to help out, wanting to be a positive influence.
People our age, right? Are we in the same?
Are we in the same age demographic?
Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm not going to reveal my age.
Kyle, you are amazing. Before we wrap up here, guys, you are listening to Kyle Draper. You've already heard me mention it, but he is a Boston Celtics amazing sports analyst for NBC Sports. He's had a long journey to get to where he is now in Boston, as many sports reporters do. You had the amazing opportunity to listen to him talk about his great journey tonight on the BosBabes. Please subscribe to our show and add us on Spotify and iTunes. What we like to do here on BosBabes, Kyle, I'm going to leave it up to you. Positive pop. Give me a positive mantra. What is Kyle Draper's positive pop? If you're feeling down, if you need something to pick you up, Kyle Draper's positive pop is...
I always like to remember, no matter what's going on out in the world, No matter what's happening in social media, what's happening on the news, I firmly believe there are more good people in this country, in this world, than bad. So don't let the negative get you down. There are more positive things going on in this country than negative right now. And that's something that's so timely, Brittany, something I always try to remember.
Amazing positive pop. So Kyle, hit us with where the heck can people find you on social media? That way people can reach out to you if they want or follow your career, keep up with what you're doing. What's your social media? Obviously, I know because I've already seen your DMs how you got on my show, which you rock. Thank you for that. And obviously, you guys listening, you know that I'm also involved with the Boston Celtics as well. I was super bummed. I don't even know if you know this, but I'm the on-court host for the main Red Claws.
Yeah, I saw that.
The season got shut down. I was like, dude, what the heck? Like, I have to wait until freaking fall now to like walk on the court and have fun. So, where can people find you on social media to slide in your DMs to keep track of your career?
Kyle Draper TV. That's how you hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snap. I'm on all the social media channels. Brittany, I do have one thing though. I got to ask you. Can I ask you one question?
Sure. Let me come back.
All right. I don't know if you've seen this right here. If I
like that.
Sure. If I send you one, will you rock it? Will you rock it one day?
100%. I love that. I will actually rock that on the court for the main Red Claws. Like, if I could cut it into like a cute little crop top with a blazer, 100, I will rock that on the Red Claws court.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that, okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning into the BosBabes. You obviously just listened to Kyle Draper. You guys rock. Check him out on social media. And good luck to the Boston Celtics. And we cannot wait to continue to follow your career. Thank you so much, Kyle, for joining me today.
All right, Brittany. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Peace out, guys.